Benvenuti in un nuovo video. Oggi c'è il Wicked Inside, dove vengono rilasciate nuove informazioni sulla nuova espansione di No Rest for the Wicked, The Breach, con più elementi anche da analizzare, e parte della mia discussione di studio su questo gioco comprendono anche il vedere questo evento. Quindi vediamo un po' di cosa parla e buon video. Lo vedo anche per la prima volta, quindi sono molto curioso onestamente. Buona visione, grazie per l'attenzione. Sono genuinamente curioso. Ok.
Hey everyone, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Gennady. Welcome to our second Wicked Inside.
We know a lot of you have been eagerly waiting to hear more from us since we shipped our last major content update.
Veramente.
Right after early access launch, we spent weeks listening intently to your feedback while putting out numerous hotfixes and patches.
Then, after we felt that No Rest for the Wicked was in a good spot, we launched our first big content update, the Crucible.
Bellissimo tra l'altro.
With the Crucible, we introduced fresh enemies, brand new systems, and a fun mode to keep everyone entertained while we began work on our next major content update. But it's been a while since then, and today we'd like to explain why.
Ok.
Our publisher for No Rest for the Wicked was Private Division, a subsidiary of Take-Two Interactive.
Take-Two decided to sell off Private Division, which was unexpected news for us. After some deliberation, we saw an opportunity.
After months of negotiations, we reached an agreement to buy the publishing rights for No Rest for the Wicked back, so that Moon Studios could become fully independent.
Oh, bene,
This legal
sono
process
molto,
took
molto,
time,
molto
and
curioso.
we couldn't say much while it was all happening.
D'accordo.
But today, we're excited to announce that it's all done.
Perfetto.
And that Moon Studios is now fully independent. We believe this will give you even more confidence in our vision, because we're free to build No Rest for the Wicked exactly how we want,
Perfetto.
without needing to ever go silent again.
We've used this extra time to create something truly special. Let's take a look at the breach.
Oh, vediamo un po' questo The Breach.
The Breach represents the biggest content update we have ever shipped. We have heard you loud and clear. You wanted more out of our campaign. You wanted more story, more zones to play in, more enemies to fight, more bosses to test your mettle against. In short, more of everything. And that is exactly what we have been focusing on.
Ok.
Our story continues immediately following Ellsworth's return to Sacrament. He summons his daughter Odessa from her prison cell, and their exchange reveals more about their relationship.
Ok, quindi è anche focusato sulla trama. Lei era finita in prigione
Take the
durante...
upper passage out, then leave by the northwest gate.
What are you doing?
God Bennett is often sleeps on duty, and the ramparts above him will be unmanned. Head north to Ermgard and Merrin, or west to the Glades. Anywhere but here.
So that's it then.
Oh, cioè lei c'ha una voce
You have to go.
bellissima. Vai, vai.
As a Sarim, players will have to venture forth into new areas we're introducing for
Oh,
the
fatemi
Breach.
vedere questa nuova area.
These are massive zones that essentially double the size of the world players got to explore
Vabbè.
so far.
Uh,
A lot has changed in the Sola Sacra since you've last visited. Southeast of Sacrament lies the Lowland Meadows, a once idyllic haven
Bellissimo.
used by Sacrament's
Sembra un po' la zona
hunters to
iniziale di
gather
Enotra.
food and supplies. Ellsworth requests our presence on a secret mission, but a faction known as the Harvesters has taken over the region.
ok.
See? I told you the serum would come, and here they
È
are.
Winnick.
Indeed. Your presence is welcome here. My friend is convinced that some threat awaits us at the Weeping Sisters.
As always at Moon, When it comes to level design, we deliberately craft every single inch of our world by hand.
Si
We
vede.
do not rely on any procedural generation, and we believe that ultimately that will allow us to create an insanely expansive, interactive open world where every inch actually matters.
Beh, si vede assolutamente che tutto è fatto a mano in questo gioco, che tutto è meaningful per l'esperienza di
Throughout
gioco.
your journey through the meadows, you will encounter all new enemies. We have also introduced 2 new weapon archetypes, gauntlets and wands. Let's take a look at how these new weapons can be used to take down all new foes that you'll encounter.
The Timberwhite here will try to take your life with his ginormous great axe. We know some of you already loved being able to suplex enemies in Wicked.
Suplex? No, io devo avere dei
It was only
gauntlet.
appropriate we introduced the dropkick.
Bellissimo. Quindi è un'arma melee. Assolutamente interessante per il gameplay. E spero sia molto più dinamica anche delle armi veloci a questo punto. Una Doken.
Wormwood wretches and limb-seed archers will keep you on your toes with brutal range attacks.
Che cos'è?
Our tremor wave will make quick work of them.
Ma io voglio anche gli
Rust
archi.
reavers present an even greater challenge. Equipped with 2 huge saws, your best bet is to keep your distance and counter when you find an opening.
Deeper within the meadows, the Copse Treader will try to block your path forward.
Allora, pausa un secondo.
Study his move.
Pausa.
Deeper within the meadows, the Copse Treader will try to block your path forward.
Ok. Ho provato a migliorare la qualità, ma è proprio lo streaming, evidentemente, che...
Study his movement patterns and keep a cool head.
Ok. Wow.
You might just prevail.
Ma queste nuove armi sembrano veramente meravigliose. Bellissimo.
Obviously, we are also introducing all new bosses for the Breach, but we don't want to spoil everything just yet.
Questo l'avevamo fatto vedere anche nel primo
We know a
trailer.
lot of you already enjoyed how much love and care we're putting into all of these areas. Once again,
Bellissimo il
we're gonna shy
platforming
away
che
from
riescono a
greedy
fare questi qua, è
verticality and
meraviglioso.
hiding secrets everywhere. Even though you'll often fight for your life in all of these zones, every now and then you'll get to enjoy a serene scene of beauty.
Meraviglia. Bellissimo. Wow.
Things have changed in Sacrament too. Caretaker Alden has arrived in town to plead for help,
Okay.
dealing with the Blight, a plague infestation destroying his home of Merrin Village.
Ma voglio anche vedere che cosa...
Excuse me, is it true that Governor Ellsworth has already gone north with that madrigal? The guard said as much.
Io voglio vedere anche cosa aggiungono alla città. Cosa aggiunge da Sacrament, perché se rimane uguale è un po' così.
And if you exit Sacrament through its northwestern gate, you will find yourself in the once majestic Merrin Woods.
Anche questo è bellissimo a colpo d'occhio, non vedo l'ora di giocarla.
Recently, the Merrin Woods have been befallen by the Blight.
Ok.
It festered all throughout the woods,
Questi mostri-
and players will have to find a way past it in order to advance.
Questi mostri sono
Bellic
meravigliosamente
Tor are ferocious
spaventosi.
fighters. The Stalkinche here knows how to wield a club, and if you're not careful, they might just call in reinforcements.
Ah,
Our new wands build are surprisingly effective.
certo.
We can cast ice darts to freeze our enemies. Cold Sling is a
questa è la
powerful ice
bacchetta.
evasion attack.
Ok, finalmente il sistema di magia viene espanso, meno male.
For the heavy feather, we'll use some more powerful spells our wands provide. We have since learned how to perform the Riven Twins Plague Explosion.
Nuove spell anche, quindi. le nuove
And if
skill.
you have enough focus, lightning bolt makes quick work of any enemy.
Ma è fortissimo.
Halfway through Marin Woods, you'll encounter Marin Village, a peaceful woodland community of Isola Sacra.
Ok,
First traveler I've seen in
e ci credo.
I'm amazed you made it to our village at all, stranger.
Un nuovo villaggio quindi, ma lo potrò controllare oppure no? Spero di no.
10,000 blessings, Serim, for returning us to ourselves.
The villages in Marin provide new services and sell different items than the ones in Sacrament.
Meno male, questo ok, però...
My clod of a
E quindi devo
cousin
potenziare
still
anche
hammering
questo?
away in Sacrament. Figured they would have run him off by now.
E quindi devo potenziare anche
Chase 'em
questo
out of
qua?
town with their crooked pitchforks and bent
Perché se devo
spears.
potenziarlo è un po' così come scelta, se
Might as well
no...
give it here.
Se no è super...
In Marin, we will
super.
also meet Odessa's godmother, Irmgard, a connection to her Dasha heritage.
Ok.
I remember when my mother used to sing me to sleep. You did too.
La voce di questo personaggio la trovo meravigliosa.
Will I see you there? All of us at one table again.
Le espressioni facciali che riescono a fare con questo stile qua di animazione è
I'm not welcome in Sacrament.
spaventosa. No, non è che non sei welcome,
And
perché
in
sei
the return
un po'
to the
così.
Nameless Pass, we'll explore new areas within it, learning more about the forces of the mainland.
We will not tolerate any more doubt within your ranks, Primus. Not while we knock on salvation's door.
Discipline takes time. It's earned, not bought.
The born god disagrees. Discipline is forged. It is a tool molded in flame.
Meanwhile, we'll continue the story of Madrigal Celine and her vanguard, who seek to liberate the lost city of Kalen.
E io sono proprio curioso di questo, infatti.
We're incredibly excited about this new chapter in our campaign, but we don't want to spoil everything.
Meno male,
just yet.
voglio giocarlo questo. Qua siamo rimasti con la per un cancello.
Our intention for No Rest for the Wicked was always to provide players with an insane amount of content, even after they finish the campaign.
Ok, e lo so.
After the events that unfold throughout the breach, our Spilled Blood questline continues as any area within Isola Sacra can now be overtaken by the pestilence.
Questo è interessante.
Once an area is infected, you'll suddenly have to fight enemies that you never encountered before in these areas.
Quindi hanno aumentato anche la rigiocabilità fino a questi livelli.
Defeat these enemies and they might just drop all new Torn resources.
Meraviglia, bellissimo.
Torn resources can be burned at any fire in order to further increase the challenge within an infected area.
Quindi è per aumentare la difficoltà pure.
You
Bellissimo.
will need to heavily upgrade your gear and perfect your build in order to succeed.
Oh, questa cosa qua è meravigliosa.
But greater challenge also means greater rewards.
Certo. La miseria.
Notice that with every enemy you slay, the pestilence spread meter at the bottom of the screen reduces. Slay enough enemies and you will have to overcome only one more obstacle.
Getting rid of the infection means ripping it out at its root.
Anche boss nuovi? Anche boss
If you
nuovi?
manage to defeat the plague boss within the infected area, the entire zone will be cleansed of the pestilence once more.
E uccidere il boss pulisce dalla pestilenza.
Our life system has also gotten a huge update. You will now find many more factions being able to take over the various areas within Isola Sacra.
Ok.
Our goal with all of this is to change the way players think about retraversal in video games. We ultimately want to make every return feel as fresh and as exciting
bello.
as it was the first time you played. And as you can see, we also introduced entirely new levels within the areas you're already familiar with.
Ok. E allora è assurdo sta cosa, un aggiornamento incredibile. E mi aumenta anche la
In
rigiocabilità.
order to aid players in achieving the perfect build, we introduced quite a few changes that will make progression a whole lot more streamlined and fun.
Ok.
First off, we have revamped the way gear drops. We replaced the tiered approach and came up with a formula that takes the player level, the area level, and the enemy level into account, which results in an experience where any gear that drops will be approximately within your level range.
Oh, perfetto, allora, ok.
Now, gear that used to only drop in earlier zones might just drop again, but at a higher level.
Ottimo.
We tried this out, and we ultimately see a much higher variety of gear throughout our playthroughs. We think it's a much more enjoyable.
Ma indubbiamente sarà meglio. Però mi aumenti anche il livello massimo, perché io al 30 ci arrivo in 4, cioè ci sono già.
Another big aspect that defines your build is of course the enchantments.
Sì, assolutamente.
So far, if your gear didn't drop with the enchantments you needed, your item would never reach its full potential. But we came up with a solution. If an item dropped with less than maximum possible amount of enchantments, you can now use a fallen ember to add another random enchantment to it.
Questo è huge. Questo è grossissimo.
If you have an enchantment on one of your items that doesn't quite fit your playstyle, fallen embers can now be used to re-roll that particular enchantment. Of course, fallen embers are also still used for respeccing your character, which makes embers insanely valuable.
Pure respec.
We also introduced a new weapon variety, Masterworks. Any Masterwork starts out as just a common item. If you decide to forego the RNG aspects of Wicked, you can bank on gems in order to fully customize your item.
Ok.
Gems will now show you exactly what effect they'll have,
questo è
depending on which
ottimo.
item you slot them in.
Questo è molto più leggibile.
In our case here, we want to craft a build that heavily relies on and synergizes with focus.
Quindi il nuovo tier sono item totalmente vuoti che io posso full modificare per me.
Common items is that we can completely customize them.
Ottimo. Ottimo.
Once we've fitted the maximum amount of gems into them, they now become a masterwork.
Ottimo.
In general, we've introduced a whole slew of new weapons, runes, and armor sets. We've also iterated on our list of enchantments in order to enable the creation of entirely new builds, while ridding ourselves of the enchantments that led to overpowered builds. Given that, and the new loot drop algorithm, the sky is the limit when it comes to build variety.
Belli questi nuovi set però.
We also conducted a major balance pass on our stats, and we noticed that quite a lot of you didn't use shields all that much.
No, i shield fanno totalmente schifo in questo gioco. Molto più forte il parry.
So we changed the way they work.
Ok. Come funziona ora?
Instead of draining stamina, shields are now based around poise and stagger, and we try to ensure that each shield archetype feels unique. So we can't wait to see all your new sword and
Quindi ho la poise come nuova statistica di gioco. Allora forse gli shield adesso sono anche utilizzabili.
Last but not least, if you've become a master at playing No Rest for the Wicked, you should try our new hardcore characters. Permadeath is enabled for these, so once these characters die, they get downgraded to non-hardcore characters that can only be played on regular realms.
Ooh.
I wonder who will be the first player to slay the Aconite with a hardcore character.
Questo boss è tostissimo, l'ho fatto diverse volte io prima che il Crucible fosse quello che è adesso.
Naturally, we also spent quite some time introducing a wide range of quality of life features and polished up what you've played so far of No Rest for the Wicked.
Questo lo davo per scontato onestamente.
For example, we've noticed that a lot of your houses looked similar to this one.
La mia no, onestamente.
Storage has always been incredibly important in any ARPG. On our current live builds, players can stack all that many items, and sorting hasn't been ideal yet. Let's switch over to our breach update. We fixed that right up, and now allow players to stack a whole lot more items within their chests.
Ottimo. 99,
and
giusto.
items now also get sorted in a beautiful way.
While we're in our home, we can show off another cool feature we added. We've added whisper stones, which enable fast travel to and from your house.
Finalmente anche fino alla
So if
casa.
you just want to quickly drop off items and gear while you're out and about, instead of having to first warp to Sacrament and then run to your home, you can now save that one step.
Questo proprio una finezza.
Remember that you can place one whisper stone per house, so if you own multiple ones, you can even fast travel between them.
Che bello, che bello.
Our next change regards food cooldowns. We've removed the classic cooldowns entirely. Now you can consume meals instantly.
Non c'è più cooldown sui cibi, quindi sulle cure. Bravi, quella parte lì faceva proprio schifo.
Your stomach is no longer a bottomless pit. You have a limited number of meals you can eat during combat.
Interessante questa. Quindi non si può spammare la
cura. You'll be able to
cura.
upgrade this limit through Plague Ichor, letting you extend how many times you can heal or buff yourself in battle.
Bello.
This new approach aims to make combat more engaging and dynamic,
E più
rather than
skillato.
forcing players to just wait for a timer.
Sì, perché giocare a Torma Timer era estremamente semplice, esploitabilissimo, una volta masterato bucavi qualunque cosa. Così invece la strategia è tutto. Non che prima non lo fosse,
We
ma...
know timers and project wait times have been a major discussion point in our community.
Sì.
We're adding a new feature so you can contribute food and ingredients to make Adanas' workers, speeding up whichever building project they're currently tackling. We're always listening to your feedback, and we will keep iterating on the system. If you have thoughts, please keep sharing them.
And of course, we've been hard at work meticulously optimizing performance.
Ma le
If you
performance...
noticed any poor performance in a machine before, the breach update should drastically improve your experience.
Sono molto curioso anche di questo, allora. A parte sui timer è...
Speaking of improvements, our DLSS implementation has been updated to a newer version, which results in much crisper image and even better performance.
Ok.
And these are just a few highlights. In total, we are counting more than 11,000 changes since we shipped the Crucible update.
Han lavorato.
Before we dive deeper, we'd like to clarify how you'll access the breach. You will need to replay No Rest for the Wicked to fully experience this update. Old saves remain in a legacy build, but this approach ensures the breach is integrated as seamlessly as possible into the game.
Ok.
We realize this might be a surprise for some. Ultimately, the scope of the breach and the underlying changes led us here. But don't worry, you'll discover plenty of fresh content, quests and loot to make restarting your journey worthwhile.
Quindi bisogna rigiocare No Rest for the Wicked. Perfetto. What's next? Bel co-op.
Let's discuss our roadmap next. It goes without saying that we will heavily support the breach for the upcoming weeks after launch. You will once again see us react incredibly quickly to all of the feedback you guys might provide.
But we're also already hard at work on our next content drops. We've received hundreds, if not thousands of pleas begging for the co-op update, and we know that our original roadmap had co-op before the breach. Rest assured, it will be the next thing we launch after this update.
Perfetto, quindi arriva il co-op subito dopo.
The reason we ultimately decided to switch these updates was because we wanted people to have more content to play once co-op releases.
Sono d'accordo, non molto d'accordo.
With the breach update, there will be now a lot more content to explore with your friends.
After the co-op update, we'll be following up with more improvements and new systems. We'll expand Sacrament, improve housing, introduce farming, expand the Crucible, and of course, finish the campaign with more story and more quests and bosses. And we're very much aware that a lot of you finally want to play No Rest for the Wicked on all major consoles.
We have a ton of things planned to further improve on the foundation that we've laid so far, and we're excited to keep discussing all of these new releases and changes with you as we go along.
Ok.
Also, today marks the 10th anniversary of Ori. We released Ori and the Blind Forest on March 11th, 2015. It's been a wild ride for all of us here at Moon. So today, we'd like to use this opportunity to just say thank you.
Thank you to all of our fans who have supported us the whole way through. We would not be where we are today without you. We're now hard at work on the final bug fixing and polishing stages of this massive update. We want to make sure we get it just right. But before we wrap
Dammi la
up,
data.
there's one more
Dammi la
thing.
data.
And this one is near and dear to our hearts.
Hello everyone, I'm Gareth Coker. My story with Moon Studios began more than 15 years ago when I received a message on an internet forum from them asking me if I'd be interested in composing the music for a small indie project. 4 years later, that small project blossomed into Ori and the Blind Forest.
Compositore?
Now, we were all very young and just getting started, so for our second release, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, we set out to perfect everything about the original, and I couldn't be more proud of what we were able to create together. But our journey is not yet over. I'm happy to announce that I've been hard at work crafting an unforgettable score for the story, the characters, the locations, and the boss fights of No Rest for the Wicked. And you will finally be able to hear some ambient music while out exploring.
Oh, sono curiosissimo.
I can't wait to see where this journey leads us.
Sono curiosissimo anche di
It leads
questo.
me to invite you to experience the all-new music in No Rest for the Wicked with the Breach update, launching on April the 30th. It will be well worth the wait.
Ok. La musica è... aprile, un mese e mezzo. Porca miseria. Porca miseria. Non me l'aspettavo. Ok. Beh. Allora, che dire? Che dire? C'è un bel po' di roba da dire. Un bel po' di roba da aspettare e da giocare. Questo trailer mi ha messo un hype addosso assurdo. Non vedo l'ora che esca. Quello che hanno fatto, hanno espanso tutto. Tranne Sacrament, che mi dico un po' deluso da questa cosa, visto quanto tempo è passato, però ci sta, visto che hanno dovuto rendersi indipendenti, diciamo. Quindi, beh, non vedo l'ora di giocarlo. Io in realtà speravo di poterlo giocare, fare una bella rerun prima dell'uscita, ma da quello che han detto loro non sarà possibile, bisognerà rigiocare No Rest for the Wicked da capo. Quindi, onestamente, a prescindere che poi che si possa o non si possa fare, se lo dicono loro, onestamente seguirò loro. Quindi comunque la rerun la farò il 30 aprile. Dal 30 aprile in poi. Detto questo, io come al solito vi ringrazio per aver visto questo video. Grazie per aver seguito fin qua, per aver guardato. Quello che ho visto è stato incredibile, perché comunque Moon Studios ancora una volta si sono confermati come proprio un team che sa quello che vuole fare, quello che sta facendo, come farlo. No Rest for the Wicked è un gioco che quando è uscito l'anno scorso in Early Access io ho giocato tantissimo, ho amato tantissimo e ho aspettato con molto hype, diciamo, anche che tornasse, appunto, e anzi mi ha messo voglia di giocarci. Quindi molto probabilmente farò anche qualche gameplay su No Rest for the Wicked, probabilmente sul Crucible. Visto che comunque l'ho giocato tanto prima del suo rework e l'ho giocato un po' dopo il suo rework, ma non abbastanza da conoscere tutto alla perfezione, diciamo. Detto questo, io non vedo l'ora che esca e capire effettivamente cos'è, perché comunque non mi sento di andare in depth su qualcosa che è stato soltanto annunciato, senza sapere. Quello che hanno fatto finora è stato fatto in maniera molto buona o mediamente buona, per poi venir corretto e reso allo stato migliore possibile. Quindi io mi aspetto molto da questo aggiornamento, e non vedo l'ora di giocarlo. Quindi grazie ancora per aver seguito il video. Come al solito, se volete supportare questo mio progetto, iscrivetevi e commentate. Ogni iscrizione, ogni commento serve a migliorare la qualità dei contenuti che faccio, di quelli che farò in futuro. Io vi ringrazio ancora per essere qui fin qua e noi ci vediamo a un prossimo video. Grazie ancora.